YouTube part. Let me see how it looks like from YouTube end. On the also, let me do that one.
Okay. So I'm on stream. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to live stream. So we are here together today. We have had a problem in the past, like connecting together, but today we are all here. So, Bolan, you can say hi to everybody. Guys. Let's say hi to the viewers, our fans.
Sorry, did you say anything?
Yes, I was like, you should say hi to the viewers.
Oh, hello everyone. Good morning. This is another day to learn HTML from scratch. This is another day to learn tech from scratch. I hope you enjoy.
Yeah. So basically, we continue from where we stopped last class. So in the last session, we stopped, or basically, we learned about three things. We learned lists, we learned links, and we learned about images. We learned HTML links, images, and lists. So we're supposed to continue and finish up the last session with semantic HTML for our time right now. So we push it over to today. So that's what we'll be continuing from today. So enjoy. So we'll be sharing our screen now. Sure. So yeah. So a brief summary. I actually dropped the summary. I don't know if you guys watched it. So if you have not seen it, you can always go back to the video and check it out. So we summarized everything we did in that session there. So watch and gain knowledge about what we got into. So just go straight to the point. So we are doing what's it called today? Semantic HTML. Yeah, that's what it's called. Semantic HTML. Semantic HTML. So semantic HTML. So basically, there is one tag that I have not mentioned. I'm going to mention now. There are a lot of people use in the time past. It's called a div tag. So like normal tags that we have, we have mentioned H tag, I mentioned bold, I've mentioned these tags, you have mentioned anchor tag, I mentioned IMG tag as image tag. So today we are going to mention one tag. It's called div tag. So that div tag in the past, they always use that the universal tag. It's like the tag that can do everything. So when they use that tag in the time past, there is like there's no like there's no unism, there's no uniqueness of tags. That means every tag can do anything. So they now came up with something called semantic HTML, whereby there are specific tags used for specific works. So that's basically what semantic HTML basically entails. So just instead of having these div tags that can do everything, so we now share the work for different tags. It's not like the old method will not work, it will work, but then there's always a confusion whereby we have one tag doing everything. So our project is just full of divs divs. There's no uniqueness. There's no like making your work a little bit more, you understand? Nice, everything is just div. So they now brought about different tags and giving them different works to do. So this is the old way of writing it. So let's say we have an header, we have a now main point and footer. So everything is going to be in an ID attribute. They'll just give it name like this header or everything, all the tags they're using is div, and that's not very nice. So they now came up with a way of like creating tags that actually work and have their own functionalities. So we have the header tag, we have the nav tag, have the name tag, and we have the footer tags. So the benefits of having these semantic tags are basically for accessibility. That means screen readers understand the page structure. They understand your page structure. That means maybe somebody that is checking your work, you need to like understand actually what is actually going on in your page. It also helps with SEO, that means search engine optimization. That's what it's called. So search engine know what content is important and which one is not. Do you understand? But if you have everything as div, it's not going to know which one is important or not. It's just going to classify all the information in that page as one or as being the same level. Do you understand? So for it also helps for readability as well. Other developers understand your code faster. So instead of having to see div everywhere, if the developer or your partner see header, he already knows that okay, this is the header point. If you see footer, he knows that okay, this is the footer point. Then it helps for maintenance, it helps for future. That means it has more advantages than having to write all the tags as div. So let's go from point to point now. So we have the first one, header tag. So this header tag is different from the head tag that we know before. So let's just take notice of that. So the header tag is basically going to hold the information in the head or in the header part of your information. So anything that is at the top of your page or basically the first thing that displays whenever the user opens your link or opens your website is always in the header section. So top of the page or section and usually contains logo, site title, taglines, and can have multiple on the page. That means you can have multiple header section on the page. So that's one per section. When I mean page, I mean in your website. That means if you have different pages in your website, you can always have an header section there. So let's see an example here. So I'm creating a new file was semantic HTML. So name the document um, my screen and want to see. So that's what I was saying about that the head tag is different from the header tag. So the head tag from the beginning of the class, I told us that it holds information about the entire web page for that particular file and how it is displayed in our browser. That's what it holds. But the head tag, on the other hand, the header tag holds the first thing users see when they use a page, and it contains like images like a logo, tagline, and title of the entire page. That's what the header tag holds. So let's add the comments. And header tag. So let's say inside our header tag now, I have an H1. So welcome to my website. So this is how it is advised to do. So let me run it now. So if I'm to run it, I'm going to say, I'm going to say something like this, welcome to my website. But then if I'm not using the header tag, let's say I remove header tag, I want to do it the old way and I use div. It's going to come out the same way. There's no differences in the output of what they come out with. It's just that when you work with these semantic tags, there are more advantages to it than it is. There is more distribution of work among the tags. There is search engine optimization, makes it readable. All the benefits I mentioned before comes with it. It's not that this div tag does not work, it's just that that semantic tag just brings more structure when you're writing your code. So it's better this way, writing your header. So I told us that the header tag contains basically information that should be shown first to your viewers. That means information like the logo of what you're doing and the rest. So this is an example. So we already know that okay, header going to show first. That's the first that shows. So let's continue. So those are the top of the section. Then we now have our nav. So our nav is basically like how we navigate throughout the whole web. So it contains nav links. So our navigation, that's nav bar or nav tag, basically contains links or lists of links that we have to navigate us throughout the page. Let me show you an example of how it comes out in a standard web. So let me show you. I'm doing this one. Trying to load. So this is a nav. Let's load completely. No. So it's anything to see my no it was. Anyways, this is the link. This is the home about project contact. So this is basically how our nav looks like. And so if you're having a header section, this is going to be your header section. Basically, everything that this page shows is your header section. Most of the time, the nav always fall under the header section. So it's always advisable to put your nav inside your header section. Do you understand? Or your header tag. So since HTML accepts nesting of tags, so navbar or nav is basically one of the things that you always have or find in your header section. So you are going to put your nav as the first element in the header, then all of this information now comes after. That's depending on what you're trying to like do or what you're trying to come at. Do you understand? So let's do that. So here we have our nav. So put our nav here, and nav is going to come inside here. So the syntax of writing the nav is like this. You have your nav, then you are going to list out all the links that you have. You know, we talked about lists in our last class. So the same thing, just put your UL like this and your li inside. So your li is going to contain all the links that we have inside here. So let's say we have our home page, about page, then contact page. So we have all of them here. But remember, there are a list of links. So, and we told us that to link our pages together, we have our anchor tag. So we just put our this inside here and do the same thing for this. So this is how an ideal number is supposed to look like. It's called a number in most cases because it's always at the top of your section and it comes like in a like on a straight form, let's say a bar shape basically. So you can see this one now comes in a bar shape. It's always like at the top. Everything's straight like this. So that's why we call it nav bar. So navigation bar. Yeah. So our nav bar also contains things like maybe our logo. So it's advisable to put your logo there. So you just put your logo. So you just say img like this, then you write the source to your logo within it. So let's say I'm importing a logo image now. So you just go and copy the logo. So this is our logo. Copy. And put it in your image and folder. Don't forget. Paste it in there. Then put it inside. Maybe just then put an alternative logo. So this is how an ideal map looks like. Because everything's coming to place together. And so if I'm to check what we have something like this or something like this. It's like this because we have not added any styling to it yet. So we'll get to styling. I think we'll start our CSS from the next slide. So watch out. So we have this. And let's put a little size. So let's put it here. So everything comes here. It's more. So, so that's that. So now let's continue. So now we now have after the header, we now have the main. So the main is basically like, as the name implies, the main section of the website. That's what contains all the information of that particular page. So the primary content of the page, only one per page. That is when you're using a main tag, you're always expected to use one of the main tag per file or per page, basically. That's basically what it means. So you have it like this. As we have our header, we put nav inside, then put maybe like a tag line inside it. So the same thing for main. You have our main here, going to contain the primary information inside here. So have a main. So you know that okay, the main is going to contain all the information that your website is going to have. Maybe the information you're trying to portray, maybe you're trying to build a landing page for a business. So every information, their images and everything is going to be within this main tag. So that's what that main actually implies. So after that main tag, we now have something called the section tag. This section tag basically helps to divide each work. Let me give you a scenario in this example that we have here. So now, as we have this head tag, we have done this head tag. Now let's say we have header tag. This is how our header looks like. Then we took a scroll. Yeah. So from this place now, we now have our main. So the main is from directly under the header. But after the main now, we now have multiple parts. So we have this part one, another section here, so another section here, three, another section here, four, section here, five. So we have five sections that are within the main tag. Do you understand? They are within the main tag. But you can see that they are actually divided. That means the background of this one is different from the background of this one. That means they are in different sections. So it's actually advisable to use a section tag to like differentiate sections that way. So what you just do is you have your main tag. Let's say you want to talk about just like this one. This is network thing. Okay, our strategy. That's basically in that first place. So you just basically create a section like this. Create your section. Then inside this section, you can now put maybe page two. You now say okay, our strategy. Strategy. Yes, I get it. So you have our strategy here, then everything under it. You can just put in the text. I don't know if I mentioned lorem to us before. So lorem is like an HTML and provision to always like, let's say you have something to say, but you don't know what exactly to put. You want to fill a space with text and you don't know what to put there. So lorem is like a default text, a placeholder text you can use. So you can just put lorem 20, depending on how long you want the text to be. You just write lorem and amount of words you want of that default text. So you just put it here, then it comes out. So you have it like this. So this is the first section. If you want to have multiple sections, you can always come down and put your sections here. So the next section, let's say about us, put page two again. Say about us. You put the Peter in, then you write everything under it. Say 20, put that as well. So you can see our work is now coming to, we are not using divs everywhere, and everything is coming to work very well. So now we now have our article. So article is basically used for blogs. So this is used for self-contained reusable content. Example, blog posts, news articles, comments, forum posts could make sense on its own if removed from the page. That means things that if removed from the page, it's still going to stand on its own and still give information. Do you get? That's what an article includes. So you can always use your article like this too, just like this section in the page. So you have the article here, and you put your text inside. Maybe your article has an header, put H2, then you write what you want inside it. So let's say okay, blog about AFCON. I don't know if anyone watched the AFCON. Nigeria did not win actually. So then we now have the then it will be a very individual. Then you have written the information and the summary how the AFCON went. You do have time for that. So you have that, you have put that in. So if I'm to check what we have, you can see everything is coming to play, and there are different sections. We have the head, we have the title, our strategy, the blog on the app, and everything is like falling under each other. So if you're actually building a big web or building something that's actually nice, this one I'm not interested because we have not installed anything yet. So you're actually like having the raw information there, but this is how structure is actually made. You structure everything, and you just add style. So the CSS just basically like the body of it. When God is creating man, first this structure. Head comes first, your neck, then your ribs, then you not put your ribs where your legs are. You not put your legs where there's a structure to everything. Put everything where they are meant to be. Then you basically now put the skin over all of those things. Trigger. So without the structure, if the structure is not well managed, the styling will be shaky. That means you not be able to shake it. I mean, what am I saying? You know maybe to you know maybe to style it well, yeah, basically. So that's what I meant. So we have our article. So the next semantic HTML tag. Then we have aside. So related links, that's what we put in aside. Put related links in aside. It's always used for sidebar content, related but not main content. That's something that is related to it, but it's not like the main information there. There are a lot of aside in like real world website. Let's say you have a page. Let me try it for one. I think I should find a live score. I don't know. There are a lot of football watchers here. So live score should have that. Um, okay. This is an example of what aside does. So you can see, let's say this is the main content of this one. This particular section here is like an aside in this case. So you can see related links. So this particular page that I'm hovering on is a link. These are the themes. They are links to our child themes that we have in Team Premier League or something. So when you click on them, you actually move from this place to somewhere else. But they are aside, they are not like the main information that the page actually holds. They are on one side of it. So that's basically what aside help us to like explain and help us to do. Then for the footer is always the last thing in every page. Footer is always the last thing. Always the last thing. So footer the document, footer is always the last thing. It always basically holds information about the let's say the company or the business you are doing your web page for, or maybe the product basically and the producers. That's what you want this information for. That's like basically. So this example now, you have to move to the footer. You can see the footer about engineering tech solution. That's like about the company, then their logo, then links to their website. That's quick links. So you can see all right user, blah, blah, blah. Then you can also see links to their social handles here and there. So that's basically what the footer holds. It's always like at the end of your page. So let's say not inside the main again, it's going to be outside the main. So footer is going to be like this. So under is then you now have your information. Then maybe you want to write a p tag, okay, and copyright 2030 in the future, yes, 2030, blah 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 blah. So another information that's going to be there. So that's basically how HTML tags is. So you can see it looks a lot better, a lot nicer to the eyes than having to have maybe instead of having header nav and everything here, you now put div everywhere. The code will be confusing. In the case where you have a bug, it will be harder to find your issues. So bug is basically when you hit a snag in writing code, maybe you don't your code is not working as it's expected to work. That's what the bug means. So when you are finding something, you have an error somewhere, you don't know where it is. When you see nav everywhere, there's going to be issues of you finding that information. So that's basically how semantic tags works. So we have learned a couple of new tags. Basically, we have learned header tag, nav tag, the main tag, section tag, the footer, we have learned article, we have learned aside. So I want us to put that into our, you know, into our archive. You know. So we'll archive that and put it that way. So this div tag does not mean that we're not actually going to use it again at all. Div tag has its own uses. That's where we actually use them. We have uses for div tag. So div tags are basically used when you want to, maybe you have a box you're trying to create. So there's no way you're going to create a website. They are not going to have like a box somewhere or a shape of something somewhere. There is no how. So you can see we have box here inside that particular section. Like in this place now, we have three boxes. One, two, three of them. You can basically use div tag because they are inside the section. You have already put them in the section. So is that instead of having to write section again, you just use div for just these three boxes. When we actually start to build like a project, because I need to build a project after we learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to build a project together that couples all of our knowledge together. And also, when we are learning CSS, to build something that will help us understand all of these things better. So we'll have that. Then level under that. So always know that we use the right tags at the expected places. Don't just use div everywhere and use the semantic HTML tags at the right places. You cannot put the header as your footer. It is wrong. You have to put the header at the top, the footer at the bottom, and put the nav, main, and the sections at their expected position so that you're going to have better SEO. SEO means search engine optimization. So that's basically what we have under semantic semantic tags. So we're supposed to like see all of these examples now, but we are not going to go into this since we still have other topics to do before we end today's class. So we just go into today's work as we plan. So today's work we are to learn about, we did not finish the last class, that's why we quickly ended semantic HTML. So today we are going to be learning about tables and forms, tables and forms. So we are expected to finish HTML today. So and for context, HTML does not end today. So we expected to finish it today does not mean that's where HTML ended. HTML is very broad and updates and it updates, I guess. Yeah, it updates. I think we have HTML5 now. So there are some tags that are actually there that we might not know the uses of them, or we have not actually like mentioned them here. So we are open to research and we also want to learn because we are also learning here. So if you find the tag that you want us to know about, you can basically just comment on that and learn about it together. So there are a lot of broad tags, but the tags that are mentioned in the section are basically like tags that I've been using from day to day, in website development. So that's basically what we have for us. So we now have the table tags. Let's not talk too much. We are keeping to time limit. So we have the table tags. So we have table tags. You know what table is? Just normal table, rows and column. Tables are used to display data in rows and column like an Excel sheet. So we have a table. But I feel like tables are like an old way of representing data in websites. A lot of people don't really use tables as they were used before. tables don't really use them like before. So, but then we still have to talk about it because like a very important part of our lesson. So we have table. So table is just like the list tag. It has the parent tag, then the actual child that is going to be inside it. So it does not work alone. It works with other tags within it. So we have the table tag. Then table tag now has a tag inside it. That's the TR. That's the table row. Table row. Tables hold information in rows and column. We have already talked about that. So a table row is going to hold the information like TR first. Then inside the TR, the first TR is going to be holding the TH. TH in the sense that we are talking about the table head. You got table head. So table head is like the head of your table. That's what is there. Then we now have the consequent, subsequent. Yeah, that's the word. Subsequent tables are going to be table data. That's TD. Table data are going to be on that. So let's see an example of what let's just put it on that. Now let's put it inside our mail. We're talking about semantic HTML. So we have to put the information where expected to be. So we put the table inside the mail. So let's just put table like this. So now write the table. So I have table here. So let's just say inside the table we have TR. And inside our first TR, we have TH. Since the first thing that always shows is our head, or basically what we want to put informations under it. So you have the table head here. So let's say we have, let me check the example so I know exactly what to type. So the name, age, and country. So say name, sorry. So name, age, and country. Then we now have other TRs. So name, age, and country is going to follow the same order. So name will say Nigeria. That's the age, person, and country. Zimbabwe. No, what will be? Oh, God, then. Country that in Nigeria. Proud of my country. We'll put the TR there. Then you can always put as many TRs as we want within here. So let's say we have 100 of this. Before done. So, so we have that. So let me check how it looks like. So you can see this is how it comes out. Name, age, country. I am India, Nigeria, Nigeria. You understand? This is how it comes out. So normally we're expecting to see like a border around them. So there's no border yet because we have not actually styled the table. All of those things come with styling. Do you understand? So we have all of this here. But they are under where they are supposed to be. So we always cover all of that data. That's when we persist. So so already you create a table, create a table, create a table heading, create a table data. So we can always add sections to it. So to make the tables clearer and more organized, we can always add sections. T head, then table, and TH, and T body. So just like we have semantic tags as well, there's always like a section inside this table as well to make the work a little bit more understandable. So let's say we want to edit what we have here so that we understand that means anybody that opens the table will be able to understand. We'll not just see our everywhere. So you just have to put T head here like this. And you pack all of this header because you have to here, that's the edge of our, you understand? The edge of our table inside it. So then the rest will now be under the T body, like this. So you now pack all the information as T. Pack the by with X, continue, then put T. So they still come out the same way, just that the code is more organized than how it was before. So we have that. So I hope I'm following. Let's not distract ourselves. Yeah. So cool span. Okay, first off, before we continue, there is an HTML attribute that we can actually use like give them border. It's called a border attribute. Just like border, then and put one or something. So it comes out like that. So if you have to check this, you can see everything comes out with the border. You can see name, age, country. You can see everything comes out like in a more nicer way. So that's that about that. So we now have the cold span and the low span. Sometimes a single cell should cover multiple columns or rows. Example, merging columns. And we now have this one. So here, cold span. So let me show you an example of what they mean here. So sometimes there's an edge that's going to be covering two columns. Yes. So this is an example here. So let's create a table. Let's going to put let me remove this one too. You see what is inside that is an example that is copied. So you can see this one is covering two columns. That means it's holding 9 and March 11 and 2. So Monday is holding the two of those rows that we have there. So instead of having to like have different headers, you can choose to like separate them by using one span or rows span. So it works. That's basically all the things that comes with tables. So I hope you don't have any question. If you have a question, just basically ask in the chat. I'll basically answer us. Toby, is Toby here? If you have a question, so if it does not have a question, you can always continue. So we have forms in HTML. We have forms in HTML. So forms basically sorry, just the participation level. Yes, shop now. Let me try edit it. I think it's better this way. But this is going to see the screen. Thanks for that observation, chat. So let's continue. That's the thing. That's the thing. Just think about. So let's continue. So we have forms. Forms basically allows user to input and send data. So forms allow users to input and send data. So if the table is actually constructed before, this is basically how it looks like. You understand? So this is basically how it looks like. So we have the table here. This is where data looks like when we added the whole span and we wanted it to take two sides. But before the whole span, this is how it looks like. This is how it looks like before. So we have name, age, and country. This is how it looks like. And this is the code structure. Okay. So you basically just put them in different sections of the table that we have the T edge and we have the TR. We have them inside here. Then we now have the T body, then the TR, then the T. So TR stands for table row, TH table head, TD table data. So that's that. So now let's continue what we have. That's forms. We want to talk about forms. So forms are basically allows you to visit and send data. There is no website that going to enter that is not going to have a form. So forms are basically everywhere. Let me open this contact page. You're going to see a form. So an example of a form. You put your name, information about it, and send it. Maybe as a feedback to where the websites are doing the journals, or maybe you are just offering a service to you. So you want to feedback on something, and you're looking for something, you want to report something. That's the basis of form. Give just the information and send it to them, and then get back to you as soon as possible. You understand? So that's basically what form. But our forms actually made. So we have the form tags as well. We have the form tags. So basically just come inside our name as well. And just write form. So we have form now. Just say form tag like this. So you can always ignore that action change. We get to that later. So we have the form tag. We have the form tag here. So the form actually is also working like both table and view tag. It does not work alone, it works with other tags. So the first tag that works with is the label tag. So the label tag is basically what like labels all the information that is going to come within the form. So first off, let's say you want to collect name, age, country, and email. You want to collect name, age, country, and email, and maybe let's say phone number. So we'll be labeling for name first. So it just gives the user the information about the form you are going to be inputting in that case. So after the label has been put, you now add another input. Another tag with the input tag. So the input tag is basically where you write your information in the web. Do you understand? So they have this here. So we have already labeled its name and put input here. So one thing we should note is that label input tags are all inline tags. That means when you put them like this, without a break tag, they always show on the same line. So it's advisable to always add a break tag so that they're going to be spacing between the tags and how the output comes out. So we have the name tag. So one thing about the input tag that we should know is that there are different types of inputs. So since we are collecting the name here, the input type is going to be text. Since our name always come out in a text, our name is always text. Our names are always letters and text. So that's what we do. So we have another one. Let's say we want to collect phone number. So see label phone number. So as you can tell, it's not going to be the same input format that we're going to be using for them. So this one is going to be changed. Say tel. I think it's tel test for this way. Telephone number that we use it. We have another one. Let's add the label tag. We have label. Then let's say nationality. So we have something called the option tag as well. It's also used within a form. and video form. So sometimes, so let's say we say nationality, they want to give them options to choose from. So we just say option like this. So it's option and we put it. No, it's not option. We put select. Select. So select is the name of the tab. Select like this. So let's just ignore all of this. Then inside the select is not an option. So let's say Nigeria and multiple. And let's say Uganda. Let's say so. Let's see how it comes out before we continue. So we are basically trying to find so you can see have name, phone number, then nationality. So they are all in the form. So name, put your text in it. So then phone number, you put your number, then your nationality, basically just select from the ones that we have. Either you are Moroccan, or Uganda, or Nigerian, and just choose. So we also have listing, other types of inputs. So let's say you want to input gender. You can always input in checkbox. So checkbox basically gender. So male checkbox. Sorry, input text checkbox or female. Then we have another one called a radio. And then just put radio here. So another type of input is called radio. Then you can always input date as well. So label dates. And come here and say input and put dates there. So there are a lot of inputs. So you can also input images as well. So you see label image. So you might have seen or used websites where you have to select images. Maybe you want to select your profile picture or something. When you click on it, it opens your gallery. So that's an example where you use input of image. So you just put image like this. So when you click it, it opens your file explorer to select the image that you actually want to display. So there are a lot of them, a lot of inputs. Let's check. So you can see the inputs that I'm saying. And for the gender, I say gender, you can click that checkbox. And for radio, is the radio one. So the difference between the what's it called now? Checkbox and radio is when you're using checkbox, you can select multiple informations at a time. You understand? You can select multiple information of them. I did a mistake in the example I used for this. I'm supposed to use something like maybe breast foods or foods that I like. You understand? So you're able to select multiple options there. But for radio, you can only select one information. Is either you are a male or you are a female. Do you understand? So it's either a male or a female. So that's what it's here. So for image as well, you can always click on it. When you click on image, it opens your listing. For date, you click on this place, it opens this for you to select what you want. Then you also have you can always use colors as well. So color. Just color. Then you also have range. So there are a lot of inputs here, a lot of them, so that work different. This is an example of range. So the color is this. You need to select color. So a lot of inputs. So we also have inputs for password as well. You know, sometimes you're inputting your password and you want this as form to show, but you don't want what I type it to show. So it also happens. Say password. And put it in as inputs. Password. So email as well. You can do image. Email is also input type. Yes, email. So we have all those. So you can see they are coming out. When you type inside this password now, everything comes out like this. Then for email, if you have a button, your email is not going to go except it actually follows the email order. That means have at gmail.com. Some part must be present in an email, whether you're using email or you're using Gmail, or you're using Yahoo mail, or whatever email you are using. So at must be present. So that's what is like using as a validation for that particular input type there. Do you understand? So we have what's it called now? Let me check. Okay, that is what we call these H attributes are used as well. So there are some times when you have to fill forms and some fields or some fields are not important or they are not required. You can leave them. But for those ones that are required, let's say you want is the ones that you user puts names there, you have to put required like this. You put required within the tags. So if you have noticed, you can see that this input tag is also a self-closing tag like the image tag that I have discussed earlier. So normally the normal form and the normal way a tag is supposed to have opening and closing tag, but specific tags or some tags are self-closing, that they don't have a closing tag. So input images input and image tags are one of those examples of those ones. So we have the input one here, then we can also put required here as well. So last but not least about forms is that a form is not complete without a button. That means a form without a button is basically writing information and no means of sending information to anywhere. Do you understand? So we always have to put the information there, and it means it looks like, okay, I'm done filling this form. Okay, I'll press the button to be able to move from here to somewhere else. Grab somewhere else. Like this here. There's one. So before I go to somewhere, so if it's always important to always put the button in your fingers. So it is. So you know that okay, button is there to submit whatever information you have collected throughout the form. So we have this. So this is the button. Now I told us that these tags are inline tags. That's why they are not falling to the next line. If you wanted them to fall to the next line, you have to put the R tag for each of them. As I click the button now, it's telling me that okay, this file must be filled because I put the required attributes for it. So without that particular information filled up, it's not going to move even from that page. Do you understand? So that's basically why it is showing that information, error message. So form defines the form action where the form without the same. So we actually not doing all those ones now. So actions and methods are basically for controlling where the information that you have actually filled in will be sent to. So we'll actually talk about this one later. Then we have label that describes the input field. That's what do you want the user to input inside that place. Then we have input, so used for many input types that we have text, email, password, numbers, and already giving us a lot of explanation. A lot of examples on that. Required, mandatory. And you have placeholder. I'm not talking about placeholder. Placeholder is basically what gives the user an idea of what's supposed to put inside. You know, label describes it, but sometimes it might describe something, but the user doesn't understand what's put there. So let's put a placeholder in this text. So you just put a placeholder. That is an example. and medium. So the user now knows that okay, it's supposed to put his name there. So if you check the this thing comes out like this. This is how the placeholder comes out. So immediately you start typing there, immediately you start typing inside that field, it disappears. That placeholder disappears. So if I'm to type here now, I remove it. You can see you can no longer see the placeholder there again. So that's how placeholders work. So now we have text area. So text area is basically for writing long messages. Writing long messages. That's what text area do. They're writing long messages. You can see that these input fields that we have here, they're always on one line. They are not long, just one line. Or sometimes you might want to like write a long text or write like a message for the company and write something in your report. So it's always advisable to use a text area there. So a text area is also within the form tag. So you just write a text area like this inside it. Then you give the size, you say colon, let's just say 3. As it is. So your text area can also always have a place as right. Let's see the messages. When you check it and see your text area, it's too small. Let's increase it. Let's see 30. So you can see the text area. You can always increase the size of the text area like this. You can always increase it. So, anyway, you want to begin the text area. So that's about text area. And we also have drop down. I think I already talked about the drop down. I talked about drop down. Drop down is basically that select that we use before. So need to select and drop down. So select an option. So that is the example of this. So we have buttons. And we talked about buttons earlier. A button, I mean, a form does not work well without a submit and button. Do you understand? If you have a form without submit, I just wasting it because the information will not move from one place to the other. So that's basically it. So you have types to submit, but you have the submit, that's the type submit. That's actually submit your information. But this reset, it basically just clears the form. It clears the information they have put there. So that's basically the two different types that you can put. There are different types of forms that you can put. So that's that on that forms. So that there are still few input types that I might have forgotten, I might have not touched. So if I remember any during the course of the class or the elements, but these are the main ones that we are going to be using from time to time. So but before we end today's class, I want to give us a quick summary of what we are going to do, or something we need to know before our next class. Since we are going to be teaching CSS in this class, we need to know something. So first thing we need to know, or the thing we need to know is that we need to learn about classes and ID attributes. Classes and ID attributes. So classes basically helps us, or class and ID attribute, they help us to style or control elements with CSS and JavaScript, or CSS or JavaScript later. So ID and class, it just basically gives CSS the power to control the HTML element. Do you understand? So that's basically what it does. So first of ID is a unique name you give to the HTML element, so that when you call it in CSS or you call it in JavaScript, you know that you are calling just one element. So when they say unique, that means you are giving it a unique name, just one. It only is the only one that is buried than it. You understand? But for class, a couple of HTML tags, that means a few of them can actually hold that tag. You understand? So that's basically what it does. That's basically what that class does. So it's reusable for multiple tags. So let's say you want to give a certain color to like 10 different tags. You basically just put everything in the class and give them the command they use. So we're going to touch all of that later, but it's better as I just gave us an idea about classes and ID actually and actually SOC. So let's practice of HTML. So always use proper indentation and overflow tags, close off opening tags properly, and use quotes for attribute values. That's quotes. That means if you have already given your attribute, HTML attribute, always quote the value of the attribute. So a group related form use field set legend when necessary. We are going to cover this later. I did not talk about field sets and legend. So talk about it later. Then we have the use semantic structure like T-head, T-body, labels, etc. as well. So always test your form in the browser. So that's basically everything I'm going to talk about today. So I'm also going to give us an assignment. So I'm going to send an information about that and later. I'm going to add a post or in the summary video that I'm sharing. The summary video that I'm sharing, I'm going to be dropping the I'm going to be dropping the assignment there for us. So watch out for it. So in the next class, we are going to be entering CSS. Let's not forget. So Bode is going to be dropping the summary video. So he's going to mention all of these things that I mentioned. So if you're able to join the live, you can always just watch the summary video and get an idea of what we talked about today. So thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate for being in support for us as we enter this new journey. So always like and subscribe and always bring a friend to also come and learn and enjoy what you're also enjoying. The knowledge you're gaining also is not wasted. You understand? So let's like and subscribe. Thank you for today and thank you for also subscribing. We are already at 61 subscribers now and we started last week. So we appreciate your support. Always help us invite more people. So let's get 100 at least. We're challenging ourselves now. So yeah, thanks for today, guys. We'll be meeting again on Wednesday. Hola, I mean, hola, bye bye. Hola, bye bye.